Our expressions of emotions are impacted by something called emotional contagions. This is the process by which emotions are transferred from one person to another, almost like a virus. For instance, students can catch the emotion of their teacher, spouses, the emotion of their partner. We've seen through a lot of research that caregivers can impact whether a child learns empathy, love, how a child ultimately begins to self express, and their level of self esteem, all through those emotional contagions. So, for instance, if you have a child who went to a daycare provider who was strict, stern, a yeller, someone who really was not about emotional expression in a positive way, you might see that happening in the child through its early elementary years and later carry on through that child's self expression and also through that child's level of self-concept and self-esteem. They may see themselves differently than, say, their peer who went through a daycare program with a very loving, caring, tender provider who was all about self-expression and expressing emotions. Those two may have had all the same educational experiences, but emotionally present themselves in very different ways. So think about some guidelines for expression. The first thing you want to think about is the ability to recognize your feelings existing in the first place. You also want to recognize the difference among feelings through talk and through action. You want to expand your emotional vocabulary. It's one thing for your preschooler to say, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm hurt. How do you express those emotions later? Are we talking about something bigger? Are we talking about not just sad, disappointed? Are we talking about not just afraid, but what are the issues of which you are afraid? So it's great to talk about ways that we can and should express emotions, but not all emotional expression is positive. So let's think about those instances. We've all had them where we're being completely irrational about something. For me, this comes in cleaning the house. My husband used to hide in our garage, and he'd just be very, very busy when I decided it was cleaning day. I am completely irrational about how much I want to accomplish and how quickly I want to accomplish it. To me, those sort of spring fall cleanings, I want it to be done, and I want it to be done as quickly and efficiently as possible. However, I was often my own worst enemy because my own anxiety, stress, my own just desire to let's finish this and move on with our lives would often lead to everyone else's lives being miserable and me having to do it by myself. So, how can we minimize those emotions and overcome that irrational thinking? So, the first one is to monitor it. It's pretty basic. Recognize it. I recognize I have a cleaning problem. The second is to think about what triggered it. Why are you behaving or reacting irrationally to this event or this person? So it's probably not my husband's fault that he never had to clean the house growing up and doesn't know that you start at the top and work your way down. That's probably not his fault. It's not his fault that he thinks that running the vacuum before you've dusted is okay, right? I'm not bitter, it's fine. But what triggered it? Why am I acting? Is that a rational response to get very upset that someone's vacuuming before you dusted? Probably not, right? So social scientists who have studied this behavior start to think about, okay, what's triggering this? What caused it? We can probably go back to my childhood and how cleaning happened with my mom, right? Or her mom, or somewhere down the line, there was probably some irrational cleaning behavior in my family. The other part is to analyze thoughts that link activating events to your feelings. So, social scientists tend to tell us that it is necessary to write down in order to truly learn from it. So, do any of these thoughts have a basis in rational thought? So, my rational thought is if you're not doing it the way I want you to do it, then you must not want to help me, right? The rational thought tends to lead to that irrational component, right? It's not that you don't want to help me, it's perhaps that you don't know how. And now my irrational behavior is making you not want to do it. Again, leading to that final fourth step of what is based on mistaken thinking there is my assumption that he doesn't want to clean or doesn't want to help me. I mean, none of us did, right? Nobody wants that. But It's something that needs to be done. So, how can I think about the irrational component and use the rational to move forward from that?